Welcome to Theragope. Feeling stuck in the divorce process or about the divorce overall? In this community, Manzi shares personal tips from personal experiences to help you thrive and live life to the fullest.
Hello friends, welcome to Theragope or welcome back. I am so glad that you're here. I have been talking about divorce as a new beginning, and today I will be doing the letter G. So Theragope is a community where we discuss the issues of life in a therapeutic setting with the agape love of God. And in this season and for a long time, I presume, I will be talking about divorce. How to thrive during the process and after the dissolution. I will be sharing a lot of tips that I use, some of the lessons I learned to help you get over the difficulties, to help you get past the challenges that divorce can bring. So let's get started. I hope you're doing well. So for G, I have go on with God. I can hear that. What does that even mean, to go on with God? Let me explain. So imagine you had two job offers. You had a couple of interviews and you had two job offers. One of them pays maybe between $2,000 to $5,000 less than the other one. Both have great benefits. Both have great perks, but one of them, the perks are better than the other. One of the jobs has hours that are, let's say 7:30 to 4:30, and another one may be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And let's say that's the one that pays way more. The one that pays $2,000 to $5,000 less, you're driving about 10 minutes to work, 10 minutes back home. The other one is about 55 minutes. But mind you, they have breakfast, they have a cafe, you can have breakfast and lunch, they have a gym on site, and but you're driving 55 minutes away. And also, let's say you have children that are still young children, or children that live at home. So even if they're in high school, they're still kids that live at home. And one of your values is, let's say, to make memories, to spend time with the children, to spend time with your wife, to be able to enjoy the weekend and not be so stressed out, not bring work home. I'm thinking you probably will choose the one that pays less but lines up with your values. So that would be an example of going on with God, deciding that you're going to go on with Him. And then if you don't know Him, you can say, you know what, I've heard a lot about this God, I'm going to give it a shot. So you make the decision to go with Him, and then you start to learn of His ways through the Bible. So remember when you were with your spouse, and think about all the date nights for those of you who had a couple of dates and maybe many dates, and then it went to courtship and then it went to the marriage. You learn of their names, you learn of their ways, hopefully. And you learn of things that they like, things they don't like. You learn of some of the ways they even thought, so that even when it's hard to say certain things, depending on how long you were together, you could maybe complete their sentence or sentences. So we turn around and we give that to God. We decide to learn of His names. We decide to learn of His ways. We decide to do things that bring honor and glory to Him. Why? Because we love Him. Because we want to be with Him. Because we want to live for Him. So that would be what we will do. So, assuming again that you picked the one that paid less, but again, you had all those values. So let's say that is true for you when it comes to God. You are intentional about learning His ways, learning His names, learning His values, learning His thoughts towards you, His thoughts about the world, and just really deciding that you're going to embrace this journey with Him. The beautiful thing I learned about even this letter G, go on with God, is that I found out two other possible G's. Now, I'm sure there are more. I don't think the list is ever exhaustive, but the one would be that you simultaneously go on with your life in a new light, and then at some point you do get over it. Now, not how we say, well, get over it. No. So picture this, all right? Maybe get a pen and paper, or maybe get your phone and try to etch this. But let's say the first picture, I want you to have like a bridge or a mountain, right? And on top of that mountain, I want you to write it. And then in parentheses, you can say that the divorce, life's challenges, financial problems, concerns, worries, my job, anything that has presented itself as a difficulty for you. Then I want you to draw yourself under that mountain or that bridge. Make sure it has an opening so that you're somewhere under it. All right. And then the next picture, I want you to have yourself, maybe like right here, and then the mountain or the bridge. But this time, I want you to draw dots where you went over it, okay? So maybe over here you look sad, or you look despondent, or you look disconsolate, or you look depressed or sad. But over here, there's some joy. That doesn't mean because you went over it that days won't present themselves as challenging. No, it just means that you're able to embrace the difficulties, knowing that they don't define you. Okay, so when you get to choose the Lord, you say, okay, think about meeting this guy for the first time. You're somewhere and he says, hey, I saw you from afar and I kind of want to get to know you. Here's my card, or, would you please give him a call? Or if that seems rude to you, I'll have no problem taking your phone number and giving you a call. That will be preceded by, what is your name? All right. And so then they say they're Joe Blow and you say you're Susan Marie, for example. All right. So here are some names I have here. This is a long list. I'm not going to go through everything, but just some of the things I did personally a couple years ago. Oh, I actually have one here, July 7th, 2023. Okay, names of God, Genesis to Revelation. I'm just going to give you a few. So God the Creator, that's Genesis 1:1. Then Ruach Elohim, the wind and breath of God, Genesis 1:2. Covenant Maker, Genesis 6. Adonai Yireh, or some people say Jireh, God will provide, Genesis 22. The Interpreter, Genesis 40. I am, Exodus 3. Jehovah Nissi, the Lord is my banner. You go and you see what a banner is and what the purpose of a banner is. And then you come back and say, wow, I see how God can be a banner to me. Or I see how he has been a banner, even though I didn't even know that was a name of his. God of miracles, that's in Exodus. God is in the midst of the earth, that's Exodus 8:18. My mouthpiece, Exodus 4. If you have a lawyer right now for this divorce process, he can be the mouthpiece for you and for your lawyer. You can pray that prayer. He's the cloud by day and fire by night, Exodus 13:22. So you're not going to walk in darkness. In fact, in the New Testament, Jesus says, I am the light. I am the way, right? I am the truth. You won't be deceived. He's the way. You're not going to get lost. My strength, and he has become my salvation, Exodus 15:2. He is a warrior, Exodus 15:3. Don't go be trying to be fighting for yourself. You want to go slash people's tires. You want to set a trap for them to catch them doing this thing. You want to go slander them. No, let God fight for you. He's not going to slash their tires, so why should you? That's way over here. You're way over here. Let's not do that. Let's take this to God in prayer. Let's choose to go with him. He is the rock of ages, Isaiah 26:4. So on and on and on and on. So we get to learn of his name. Knowing God and knowing what his name means is that when I have a specific prayer request, where today if I'm needing something, provision for something, he is my Jehovah Jireh or Yireh. But if I need his covering because I feel like I'm vulnerable or I feel like I am under attack, he can be my Nissi, my banner. So knowing those names gives you a perspective of the God that you're dealing with. All right? Okay, so now he's your breath, he's your glory, he's our rewarder, he's He rewards those who diligently seek him. He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. So you're going to be seeking the Lord diligently. Go and define the word diligent. Let that give you perspective. We're not one day in and one day out. Sometimes we're more diligent with our places of work than we are with the very one who gave us the breath and the life to get up and go to this job. So see what it means to belong to a God who rewards those who diligently seek him. Okay, so after you've learned some of his names, then you're going to just learn some of his ways. I mean, just pick up the Bible. Let me see. And Proverbs 24:1 says, Be thou not envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them. So then you know what God's thoughts are about jealousy. Now that's the word evil men, but you will begin to pick up the Bible and to read it. And let's say we went to Proverbs 22 verse 1. It says, A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. So, you know, you read the scriptures and you're like, oh, let me see how this applies to my life. All right. Verse 21 in Proverbs chapter 21. So 21:21 says, He that follows after righteousness and mercy finds life, righteousness, and honor. So on and on and on. The way to know how to do your job, when you first start your job, they give you a manual and there are days of training. Some places you don't even get a formal training, but there's someone there who knows how to help you navigate the system, how to help you navigate the code of ethics and the way things are run. The way to get to know this God, if you want to follow him, is to get to know his ways by picking up the Bible. All right. Oh, I have some other names on here. He is the high and exalted one, Isaiah 57:15. I like this one because now my testimony as far as drugs and alcohol, I've never been an addict. I have worked with addicts. I have lived with people who have used, and I can tell you when you get to know the Lord, you don't need the drugs and the alcohol. I know it's an addiction, so of course, do your due diligence, find the help you need, go to treatment, take care of the drug abuse. Usually, when there's a drug or alcohol abuse, there is also a mental health challenge. You know, it could be depression, could be anxiety, could be a father wound, a mother wound. You know, where you ended up becoming a people pleaser, or you're very negative, or your spouse. Let's say for men, if you have a mother wound, it's difficult for your spouse to come to you to even share the emotional wound because you see that as an attack, like you're not being enough for them. But that's not what they're saying. They're grateful that you are a provider. Maybe you have a father wound too. Your father always said to you, be strong, make sure you're a provider, but you never saw your dad hug your mother. You never saw him caress her in an appropriate way when they're in the open, you know, speaking to her affectionately. So you decided you're going to be a great provider like your dad, but you're missing the emotional connection that women desire. And so your response to her when she's asking for an emotional need, you become distant, you become withdrawn because you think she's not grateful that you are providing. She is grateful. She's happy that there's roof over her head. She's happy that there's food in the fridge, but she can't talk to the food in the fridge. She can't talk to the roof, and she can't cuddle with the roof or the food. She wants you. So that would be where I encourage you as the man to go and deal with and work on that wound. And also for the women, that wound could look like where he always compared you to others. He put you down. Maybe he even happened to be the coach on your team and it was never enough. You know, why didn't you make that shot? Why didn't you score this thing? How come the other girls are skinny and you're just so fat? I mean, on and on and on. And we bring those into our marriages. For me personally, my father was a great father. My wound came from my uncle when I was about 9 or 10 years old. He lived at home with us. I'm from Liberia, West Africa, so your parents, siblings who live in the house with you. My father was a medical doctor. He worked for the government, then ran his own clinic. So sometimes he would come home a little late, and my mother worked as a personal banker, but she had her own little business, well, two businesses on the side. So she would go to check on those, and he was at home. And I remember he would do He didn't rape me, right? But it was like he would mount me on the wall and he would act as if he was doing that. And that left me very wounded for a very, very long time. That did impact the way that I chose people that I wanted to date and people I wanted to be with. And I still believe to a degree, or for most of my marriage, that was there. I don't remember talking about that too much with my ex, but that did impact how I showed up, even intimately sometimes. So make sure you are working on things like those. Okay. He is our Father. Malachi 2:10. And that word for some of you right now is a trigger because your father was not a father. But here's what I want you to do. Get a pen and paper and write down what you would have liked your father to be. A. Or B, write down words that describe a good father. If you had a good father, what words would describe him? Make a list of your the attributes of a father, a definition of a good father. And then some of you still need rather to keep working on the father wound. So it would be good to begin to do that. Like I said, it shows up as neglect, abandonment, people-pleasing behaviors, feeling withdrawn, feeling like you need to do everything. It's hard for you to even ask your spouse or when you were married for help. You just won't do everything because for you, you had to learn to take care of yourself. So you showed up that way in your marriage. So just things like those. Begin to work on the papa wounds and the mama wounds. And then I want you to write down, when you write down your definition of a father, and then also write for a good mother, for those of you who didn't have a good mother. I want you to write down the ways that that wound showed up in your marriage. Were you dismissive towards your partner? Were you physically present but emotionally checked out? Were you insecure? You always needed to know where they were. You know, she can't breathe and you had to know where she was. And if she's at the front of the house, you would call her. And she says, "Hi, honey. Yeah, I know. I just want to let you know that I see you at the front of the house." I mean, just things like those that sound funny, but people start to feel like you're stalking them even in the marriage. So write down how you believe some of your wounds showed up in your marriage. And then what are you going to do about that? I recommend therapy or counseling to talk about some of those things. All right. So maybe again, your dad was great, but maybe there was a man in the family or in your professional life that left you with some wounds. And so you want to deal with that. It may have been a boss, may have been a neighbor, may have been a coach, may have been an uncle, maybe even a brother. Some things that were done to you that left a scar in your soul. I love the scripture in the book of Psalms, chapter 23, that says, "He restores my soul." Because sometimes it feels like our souls are fragmented. The wound from the coach, the wound from the boss, the wound from the uncle, the wound from the brother, then the wound from the father. It's like they're all over the place, like that puzzle. Then the father is a potter. And if we are the clay, he does want to put us back together again. So this will be some of the deep work that you will be doing. Okay. Um, let's see here. So for some of you men, do you treat your wife so poorly, but you treat other women way better? You know, you treat her so poorly, but maybe when you're out and about, that's when you want to be affectionate and act like you want to come to her needs, or attend to her needs. As soon as you get back in your car, then the fighting starts, the put down starts. Go and work on that. Go and work on that because she may leave, or if she never leaves, you too, because you stay, you're also going to be miserable. So you both need to work on that together. All right. So again, mother wounds can show up as people-pleasing behaviors, seeking approval, being overprotective, overbearing. It has some abuse in there, some neglect. Maybe your mother or father used drugs or alcohol, or they were raging alcoholics. Some of them were even abusive. When they got home drunk, you were their drum that they beat the whole night. Maybe your mom had multiple lovers and she just chose them over you. Father wounds, a lot of rage. They may have provided for your physical need, but you never got a "love you, daughter" You know, you never went to a father-daughter program or father-daughter dance. He's just no affection for you. He probably compared and judged you. So those will be some things there for you to look at. So when you're going on with God, He will expose some of those things. And because He's a good guy, He doesn't want you to remain the way you are. You will begin to see some of those things, or things will be coming back to your memory, and you're like, wow, I never saw that. And who knows, maybe one day you will thank the Lord, you know, Father, I thank you not for the divorce, but that in the divorce I'm learning all these things. I would have never gone back to look at my foundation, to look at my line of ancestry, to look at my bloodlines, to look at my generation, to see some of the patterns, to learn of them, and to get rid of them, and to stand for the generation. Not so much of having your marriage come back together or not come back together, but that a whole generation will be freed through the blood of Jesus Christ. And you don't leave that unfinished work for your children and their children. All right. Psalm 77, He's a God of wonders. And Psalm 27:1, He is my light and my salvation. So on and on and on. So those are some things that you will be working on as you go on with God. And as you go on with your life, like I say, if you're going to pick up the Bible, you will learn that He is your strength and your song. He has become your salvation. The lines fall for you in pleasant places. You have a good inheritance. The Lord is your shepherd. You shall not want. The Lord is your light and your salvation. It says, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? You know, He's your provider. I mean, you will just begin to go on with Him while you're simultaneously going on with life. It's going to be a beautiful journey. It's going to be painful some days. And remember, just because you cry or something brings back a memory doesn't mean that you relapse. It just means that it's there. But how are you going to respond this time? Back in the day, you will go to look for the drug dealer. This time, you are going back to some of the tools that you learned, deep breathing and working on forgiveness, working on speaking your mind, working on telling the truth, working on saying, I don't like this, without having to explain why you don't, working on being able to say no and not feel guilty for it, working on being able to split the work. If it's Thanksgiving, you don't have to make the pies, make the turkey, make the greens. I mean, you can share the work, right? Somebody can set up, you can maybe help tear down, but you are a part of a team, not just I.